Today, I speak with Miriam Ortiz y Pino, a certified professional organizer, simplicity expert, and money breakthrough business coach, entrepreneur, writer, and creator of the Streamlined Solution. Miriam works with entrepreneurs and other busy and creative people to craft environments where you connect the control you crave and the freedom you desire while building wealth through organization. Our conversation unpacks the utility of systems in business, defining success on her terms, and how learning to communicate with clients and her team were key to being a more effective coach and entrepreneur. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Hi, Miriam. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited for this conversation. So Miriam, you are a professional organizer, but that seems like way too much of a simplification of everything that you are doing. So why don't you help us set the stage a little bit. Tell us about your journey, what you're doing business-wise, and how that fits into your life a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a certified professional organizer, and that means I actually sat for a test to prove that I know what I'm doing when it comes to organizing and project management and productivity. But then as I started helping people, because I had simplified my own life and really realized how much more enjoyable life was when you had kind of that foundational organization and understanding of productivity concepts. It just freed up so much time for myself. I wanted to share it with other people. And so I decided, I should learn how to run a business. And then that went, really well for a while. And I'm saying that kind of, hyperbolically, because we all know the entrepreneurial journey is a little bit of a tangle. But what came from that tangle is realizing how important it is to develop coaching skills, no matter what kind of business you're in, to be able to learn and converse with people the way they think, not just the way I think, so that you can make a deeper connection with people. And then realizing that led to a better understanding of where people's clutter came from when I worked with my organizing clients. And then noticing that I was really drawn to clients that were creative and or entrepreneurial. And so how does that journey play into it? And the money mindset piece fell in when I realized, I'm not doing my own money stuff quite right. I should learn more about that. And just overcoming some limiting beliefs and then taking that to my clients as well. And having that understanding of our relationship with money and our stuff and our time, it's all the same thing. And if we are limited in one of those areas, chances are we're limited in all of them. So how to help people overcome that as quickly as possible so that they could get on with life instead of spinning around that, I can't do this till I do that, and there's not enough, and I'm not enough, and, the mindset piece.
So you just laid out not circuitous, because I think each thing led to the next thing, but what was that arc? Like, was that professional organizer to mindset coach in a what horizon for you?
I've been doing this for 30 years, but I will say that I'm not a slow learner. I'm a slow processor. So I'm very much one of those people that I learn a bunch of stuff, and then it takes me a while to realize, it's going to fit into my own life this way. And then I can take it to other people. So I'm always curious and learning and trying and improving. But it's something, if I had not wanted to keep my own business as simple as I do, I could have processed it a lot faster than that. But I do think it's the overarching arc of my whole life journey, as well as my entrepreneurial journey. So just realizing how that all aligns. Oh no, I've never had this question asked before.
So that alignment. I love asking people about this, is because entrepreneurs, it being an entrepreneur it's so all soul encompassing that it is for many people. It's not this, well, I have my job over here and then my life, my personal life over here. For you, is there a separation between who you are and your entrepreneurial journey?
No, but that's the key point, right? Like it took me a really long time to understand that there isn't a separation. For me, it's not about balancing my life and my work. It's how do I bring my life to my work, and the things I learn, the technical skills I do in my work, how do I apply those to my life to make it better? So it's much more of a integration to me than a balance. And sometimes the focus is on one and sometimes it's on the other, but I'm not, the other analogy I like is juggling. I'm paying attention to one of the balls more intently than the others, but they're still in the air. They're still in play. They're just not getting as much attention in that particular moment.
Sure. So how does your business work right now? Are you mostly working with entrepreneurs on money mindset, or are you still delivering, professional organizing to just household clients? Like what's your focus of your energy right now?
So I love having enough variety to keep myself interested. So the goal is to have all of my clients be entrepreneurial clients, but help them across their business and their life. So that's the goal. Right now, it's probably still 60% just organizing clients, although probably 90% of those are entrepreneurs or small business owners. And the other 10% are like creatives or retired people that write and do art of some sort. But I get most of my clients are still declutter people. I have too much paperwork. I have too much clutter. That's what they visibly see. And that's what they come to me for. And then the fact that it improves these other areas of their life is just added bonus. And it's slowly shifting where they're coming for all of it.
Right. I think when we talked earlier, you had said something about sort of the external clutter being, that's more symptomatic than the underlying issue. And that's where it led you to working on, systems and money management, mindset, how it's all interconnected. So, I'm curious, since you do work with so many, as you said, creatives and entrepreneurs, how is that awareness for them? Like in you helping them draw the line between like their external clutter and then all the other parts of their life. Is that easy for people to grasp? Or does that blow minds?
It blows minds. I think so. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of a great analogy. It's like, oh, my car isn't working and it's dirty. Let me take it to the car wash. And then it's like, oh, it's still not working. Maybe I should do something else. And you go to the mechanic, like there's these little pieces of the puzzle that fall into place. And people are still always looking for a magic cure, some sort of magic pill that they just take and it solves all the problems. But the problem they see is the clutter. But they don't see it as a letting go problem. They see it as I need more storage. So I think right now we just need more instead of thinking about I need less. So I'm all about stripping it away. And if we have to start with the clutter and the pieces of paper and the expired coupons and whatever, that's fine. But it will eventually lead people to realize they've been doing it wrong for a while and need to flip it and let go.
Yeah. There's so many parallels to what you're saying, and even my own experience working in a completely different area, like working on marketing. It's people want the magic pill. Like, how do I go from nobody knows me to like making $1 million? And can you do it? Can you do it all for me? I mean, and that's that. Yes, you can do, and that entree point, right? Like we get a lot of, I know I should be doing social media, but that's not the cure.
No.
That's just an outward appearance. Like we still have to fix the messaging and the brand and it all is so intertwined.
I think the marketing piece in connection with the letting go piece is so integral because they both connect to most people don't know what they actually want. You end up with too much stuff because you don't have a clear idea of which things you're purchasing are actually going to serve you. You don't want to do marketing. You want to outsource it because you are unwilling to look at what problem you're solving and how to talk about it.
Right.
Or sell yourself. You want the money, but you don't want to do the deep internal work about how to make it. Like all of those things are connected with the fact that we don't have the patience to sit down and listen to our inner wisdom and figure out what we want and direct our actions towards that desired outcome instead of just I want the outward looking success.
Right.
Like, how do you define success in the first place?
How do you define success?
Right.
Great setup, by the way. So I told you I was going to ask you that.
I know, and I didn't even mean to go right there when I mentioned that, and it was like, oh, it's right there. We got to do it now. Yeah, I think of success as freedom. So it is the ability to simplify my life and work a few hours a day at the things I'm great at. So I have a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment at the end of the day. But also I have this immense curiosity. So there has to be enough buffer built into my day where I can read and watch TV and listen to TED Talks and podcasts and whatever else captures my attention that day.
Is this an evolution of your own view of success? Meaning, like when you first said, well, I'll learn how to have my own business, is that what you set out to accomplish, or is that what you've discovered is really where the fulfillment is?
I will say that's what I started out. I got lost at a few points during the journey. I think when you start learning more about how to run a successful business and other people have a different view of what success looks like, your own voice and your own outcome can get lost as you learn. And I think in 2020, during COVID, I really realized I have to stop listening to so many outside voices and listen to my own voice and then put it through these processes I've learned from other people to see which process is the best fit for me in my vision, if that makes sense. There's so much information out there. We can spin around in circles for 20 years listening to other people's idea of how to run a business and what's going to make you successful. But until you do that inner work, take my own advice. What did I decide I wanted to do? Why haven't I done that? And why isn't that in my messaging and my marketing so that I'm attracting the right clients in the first place? Those kinds of things took a while to settle in.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying about having less, making choices. I think when people focus in their business, there's this fear of the stuff I'm not going to focus on is I'm making a mistake, and that's where the money is, or that's where
No, it's not a mistake. It's a journey. It's a put something out there, get the feedback, adjust, put it out the next iteration of it. It's more of an iteration than a different approach necessarily.
Right. Now, when you and I last spoke, and I asked you, like, what are you focused on right now, like in your business and in your sort of journey? And you talked about like your own simplification of processes and really focusing in on that. Can you share more information about like what does that look like in your day-to-day or in your business?
Yeah. So I'm a paper and pencil kind of person still. That's how I stay most organized. But then when I brought on a virtual assistant and a web designer that's more collaborative, I started using Trello and a Dropbox and some other stuff to make the teamwork part a little better. And on the one hand, yes, it does. On the other hand, I'm not great at using it regularly, and so it doesn't. And it turned out it was very redundant with some of the systems I had already set up to my way of thinking. And so, I don't know, Trello just went through some changes and my price increased and it seems like they took away a couple of the features I really loved and they added one I'd been waiting for. And I was just kind of evaluating. I'm like, it's not saving us that much time anymore. It's not doing what it was supposed to when the other stuff got cleaned up. So I'm letting go of Trello and just going to, I think I'm actually moving to Monday. I haven't made my final decision, but we're basically just setting up our own back-end processes with Excel and Dropbox that are still shareable because of Dropbox, and working with dashboards in a different way. So it's not 87 pieces of software to help me simplify and automate my business. We're trying to go down to like 5.
Right. Yeah. That feels very familiar to me.
Yeah. And I feel like every time we've added a piece of software because it was missing in one of the other solutions, the other solution will bring that piece of the puzzle into the mix, or the other one will add the one that replaces the other one. And it's very hard to know which one, because they can't all be all-in-one solutions. And yet, which ones are best at doing which pieces of your puzzle and how to keep that puzzle with the biggest pieces possible. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's so true. And like in my private life, my husband will say something like, well, I sent you that fill in the blank information. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, where? Which of my 3 email accounts? Or was it, we use Messenger, we use WhatsApp because we have international family. Right. Then we have iMessage. And it takes me more time now to go find, because we have family systems, and I see that in the business too. We give feedback internally by putting comments in docs, but sometimes we're slacking. Sometimes we're actually in the Asana task.
Too many options. Yes. Like, remember in the good old days where you just pick up the phone and you'd leave a voicemail and someone would listen to your voicemail and get back to you with the information you actually asked for? Instead of preemptory calling back or messaging back or DMing back or slacking back without all the information you actually needed. They'll just see that you contacted them, and so they'll get back to you, and they don't have the stuff, and it's 12 messages instead of 1. I feel like, and I don't know if it's generational. It used to be so much easier. Yes, you might have to wait a little longer, but it was easier. There wasn't as much effort involved as monitoring 27 different ways of getting in contact with each other.
So do you work on those types of sort of simplifications for people?
I try. I resisted texting for a really long time, and now it's my number one way of talking to my clients. So we text and email are my 2 favorite. I mean, left to my own devices, actual phone calls would be it, but no one else likes it, so it's not very effective these days. But texting and email, so there is a trail of conversation, and there's one email address, not 27 that I'm monitoring.
Yeah,
is really helpful as well.
So, this whole journey that you've shared, what's been harder than you expected? Like, where have your kinks in the armor been?
For me, it's definitely been team. I used to manage a whole department, and it was fine, but I wasn't the one setting the tone. I was the one managing the tone. So that was an interesting thing to learn, that I could be both a friendly and kind boss and still expect people to meet deadlines and things like that. And understanding that not everyone communicates the same way, especially when they're all running their own business. So my team is all virtual. So I don't have the same, I can tell you what to do considerations in it. It's like we're collaborating. We're not boss and employee. So that took a long time to kind of work through the kinks, because I was used to just saying, this is how we do it. Do it this way.
Right. And so
Yeah.
where do you think, where are you headed next in your, are you I'm setting a goal and I'm working towards it person, or are you like, let's see what unfolds?
Ooh, I split the difference. I have a
Okay.
very clear desired outcome. I'm not as I don't hold on as tight to exactly how that has to look.
Mm-hmm.
So I start and I go with what my gut is telling me to do for my vision. But if something shows up that was unanticipated or might be faster, I'll look at that. But I also run it through that filter of my internal voice these days. Just because someone else did it that way doesn't mean it's going to be the best solution for me, but I will take a look at it to see if it might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just a fun, incredible journey, right? That you have to approach with curiosity and devotion in a certain way.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship is certainly, there's such an unpredictable nature to it just by its, the world evolves even if we don't, right? Like,
Yes.
that you have to have a certain level of adaptability to be comfortable as an entrepreneur. Like,
Yeah.
you
It's
need to know
constant
what's going to
change.
happen next week. This is not the right business for you.
Yeah, it's not certain.
Mhm.
You have to be comfortable working through your fear, doing it anyway. You have to be comfortable with feedback, negative feedback, positive feedback too. But you have to, it's not necessarily a thick skin because I think you need a certain amount of vulnerability to be a good entrepreneur. But you have to be able to absorb and adjust.
So I really, you brought it up, so I'm going to probe on it.
Yeah.
Receiving feedback, negative feedback.
Yeah.
How is that for you? How is that something that is
Um,
impactful to you?
I, it depends on what it is. There
Mhm.
are certain things I could care less what your opinion is. Bring it on, say it. Okay, great. Glad you paid attention to the point where you could have an opinion. um, but I'm also really good at recognizing who's giving me the feedback and if they have an expertise in it. So I don't take most of it personally. But every once in a while, someone who knows their shit will say something that I will realize, oh, my initial reaction is defensiveness, so it must be something I need to look at.
Right, right.
But it took a while to get there. I'm highly sensitive, and
Mhm.
so it can be cutting when it comes from the right person. I'm
Mhm.
better at recognizing that's something I need to look at and giving it a certain amount of time to feel the emotions around it and then let it go and do the actions that will adjust, that absorb and adapt situation.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great deal of self-awareness that you say, like, you recognize, like, that is something
That's
that I then need to, like, did you come to that on your own? Was that one of these, like, learning how to be an
um,
entrepreneur things?
learning how to be an entrepreneur things. And that's definitely the thing that's taken the longest
Mm-hmm.
in my arc of intellectually. I knew how all these things work together. Realistically and practically on a day to day, it is something I work on constantly.
Yeah.
So it's always just be better. But also because I work with a lot of creatives, I've studied a lot of the creative process and understand like artistic and constructive criticism. And so I've studied it and practiced it to get here. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Something that I think, in my business, we certainly practice it. We
Mm-hmm.
say to clients, the clients are like, "Oh, I love it," and they're secretly holding back some kind of feedback. No, we need to hear what you don't love, or we need to hear
Right.
where it's
What is
not quite
this
yet.
font choice, for God's sakes? What is this about? Yeah, I think also learning to notice the absurdity of life is really helpful when it comes to criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, what would make you say you love it? Like, what is it? I don't know. I'm trying to remember what it was exactly, but there was a creative thing and a marketing thing that I was talking about. And someone actually was like, oh, I love it. And it was like a plant thing that was not supposed to be loved. It had nothing to do with their business or their message or anything. And it was like a test to see if the creative wanted to work with that client kind of thing. And if you aren't honest, you can't have that collaboration.
Right.
And if you're not able to stand up to actual honest feedback, you might not be the best fit for that client either, Yeah. So it's a two-way street, just learning to communicate.
Yeah. Do you actively seek client feedback?
I do. And I will say most of my clients are terrible at it. They are very nice, kind people that just say they love me and it's all great. And then when I say, well, what about it really resonated? Oh, well, the thing about, and it's always one of the surface things.
Yeah.
Until we get to a certain point, and then all of a sudden it breaks through and you start getting, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was possible. Or, oh, I noticed this the other day, and it's something out of the blue that's not connected to what we were actually working on, but they make the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that when they realize that's the feedback that I strive for.
Yeah.
That they are able to connect the knowledge to something else.
Right. So, totally switching gears.
Yeah.
Barbie or Ken?
Skipper.
Excellent.
For those of you that don't know, Barbie's younger sister. Always striving to be better and included, but a little bit quirky. No, I actually like Barbie because there is an imagination, there is a drive, there is a insight that is ironic and lovely and takes into consideration all the factors.
Love it. I'm slightly obsessed. We'll see how long I can hold on to this whole theme.
A little confession. I never owned a Barbie doll. I owned a Skipper, but I was not allowed to own a Barbie doll when I was a kid.
You're not the first person I've talked to who has said that.
Generation.
Is that, which caregiver in your life sort of set that rule?
My mom.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a feminist. She still is.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite understand the Barbie empowerment that was possible with the imagination piece. Just the physical characteristics were not what she wanted to ascribe to me. And to be honest, back in the day, Barbie was kind of not necessarily could be anything she wanted to be. She could be a secretary or wear a ball gown or be a stewardess. It wasn't even a flight attendant yet. So
mm-hmm. Yep.
It was still limited when I was a child.
Yes, me as well. But I'm glad, speaking of journeys and evolution, that one also has evolved. So
yes.
Well, Miriam, this has been a lot of fun, and I feel like I could talk to you all day.
Yes.
We will put your links to all of your resources, website, and all that in the show notes. But what is your favorite way to hear from folks who want to reach out?
I think if you get on my mailing list and email me and with any questions or concerns or ideas or thoughts or problems needing solving, I think that's the best way. So via my website, and then it has the links to anything else if you want to delve into the YouTube channel or the Facebook offerings, whatever.
Fantastic.
I'll meet you where you are.
Yes. Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me on the M word, and wish you all the best success in your business.
Thank you. I love the title of your show, and I'm so happy to share and be with you.
Thanks, Miriam.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The M Word. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe and never miss a podcast. Visit arlingtonstrategy.com for more. The M Word is an Arlington Strategy production hosted by Jennifer Mulchandani. Our theme music is by Moochie. Graphic design by Kayla Fagan and Emily Rare. Sound engineering and editing by Winston Turner.